Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Bill. So today we're shooting from Orlando, Florida. But today's subject is, how do you know when you're ready to buy a house? So Bill, here's the deal on this one. Here's the little backstory.
Okay.
So I was doing an insurance inspection and there was a renter in the house, and he said to me, he goes, you know what? He says, I asked him how long he's been living there. He said 2 years, but he says he's gonna go out and buy a house, like right away. I said,
Okay.
all right, cool, that's really nice. And he says, yeah, what area should I go to? You know, I'm not a realtor, but you know, I told him where I live and
Just
stuff.
chit-chatting.
Chit-chatting, right. Yeah. So I said, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm between jobs. So I'm like, oh, okay. Because to me, buying a house, so I'm assuming he's gonna be paying cash.
Right.
So I said, oh, you know, depending on what your price range is, you can probably get a nice house, you know, in the area we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And he says to me, he goes, yeah, he goes, I don't really have much money to put down on the house.
Okay.
You know? And I'm like, so I said to him, so you don't really have a down payment? He's like, no, maybe I could borrow from somebody. I'll go to a bank. So I'm like, all right, so here's the deal.
Okay.
How do you know when you're ready to buy a house? Because this particular person obviously is not ready to buy a house.
They're probably going to have to overcome a few challenges.
Right. So it's good to say, okay, I'm going to go buy a house right now, but there are things, especially with the prices, interest rates, you know, so there's things you really need to consider before even thinking about going out and shopping for a house. Anyways, if you guys like this kind of content, do me a favor, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. Hit the bell notification to get notified next time we upload a video, and give this video a thumbs up. It is greatly, greatly appreciated if you do that. So Bill, how does somebody know they're ready to buy a house? You know, this person just thinks that he's gonna go and buy a house, and walk into a, he literally thought he was just gonna walk into his local bank.
That's fine.
And say, I want to buy a house.
Okay, that's fine too.
But he doesn't have a down payment. He doesn't have a job. Let's consider that.
Okay, so those first two things. Number one, I'm not a lender, so
yeah, we're not lenders.
It's hard. It's some of those things I can't answer questions on, but I can give you some food for thought to ask your lender.
Okay.
Because this is what I would do if I sat down and you were having a consult with me. So, perfectly fine. Go to your bank, sit down, talk to them. That's actually a really good step.
It is a good step.
You know, can you even afford to purchase a home? Can you even qualify to purchase a home? Now, do you need to have a lot of money to put down? No. Maybe you're doing a VA loan.
I mean, Zillow's doing the 1% down payment.
A lot of people do the 1%, and that's not the end of the world.
No, I mean, I'm not a big believer in them. You know, I don't think they're good, but people do them. They have 1% down. Okay, so you don't need a lot of money, you're saying.
Right, so that program aside, what about a VA loan? You know, you're not putting money down on a VA loan. So there's no real heavy out of pocket. So that maybe he's in that situation. In between jobs, well, how in between jobs are you?
Well,
do you have you're getting ready to start a new job and you've got an offer letter, you know, or
no
start date kind of thing?
This particular person has no job. He asked if I needed help.
Okay, so you're probably going to need a job.
You're going to need a job.
Unless you're maybe, I don't know, you have a trust fund?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, if you have cash to buy a house, you don't need
but then you don't need to go to the bank.
You don't need to go to the bank
So
either, yeah.
Down payment wise, let's look at maybe an FHA loan, 3.5% down. So you don't have to have a ton of money to put down on a home to get going.
All right, so now let's take this. You have a job, you have a little down payment, and you're going for you know, a VA loan or FHA or whatever.
Right, okay.
But now you really have to take, that's not the only expenses. You have taxes.
Yeah,
property taxes, especially here in Florida, because they're going to be based on what pretty much the market value of the day you buy.
Correct.
You know, and so somebody that's been owning the house for 10, 15 years could be paying $2,000, and then when you own it, you might be paying $9,000.
Right, right. So you have to go into the county tax department that you're in, and you can go estimate taxes, and it'll ask you a couple of questions. You can plug that in, and that's how you can get the a rough guesstimate of what your taxes are going to be.
All right, so let's talk about another one, especially here in Florida again, homeowners insurance. I literally know people right now, I just got a call, an hour ago?
Right.
And they can't get homeowners insurance. You know, they're saying, hey, we called up everybody, and everybody's saying no because of the age of the roof. Now, the roof is not that bad. It's a clay roof.
Uh-huh.
But it's an original roof from 1972.
Oh, wow.
So, it could, you know, some clay roofs could last 60, 70 years, depending on the quality of it.
Right. I mean, the clay is really just protecting the underlayment, technically.
But it's, believe it or not, for that age, you know,
That's... Yeah.
But they can't get insurance.
Right. So we got a couple things going there. So first and foremost, just other fees besides your down payment. You know, you've got a home inspection.
Right. Which
Florida, 4-point and wind is at a very minimum you're going to need to do to get your homeowner's insurance.
So let's talk about $500-600.
Yep.
Okay.
So then you're probably going to have to pay your first round of insurance up front, perhaps. So just kind of be prepared.
Yeah.
You're going to pay closing fees.
Yep.
Taxes.
Yeah.
You know, there's taxes, just dock stamps. They call them dock stamp, but it's a tax. It's a dock stamp. You know, to close on the property. So there's a little bit of money involved there. And that's pretty much what you're going to need to save up for. So think about another 2.5%, give or take.
And then you have moving expenses.
You know, because you also have loan origination fees and things of that nature if you're going to use a loan. So
especially if you bought down your rate or something.
Right, that's even on top of what my calculation for that, like 2.5%. It's just it's a ballpark. Once you make contact with a lender and you pick somebody, they're going to give you, you know, an estimate on what your closing costs are going to be.
True. But then okay, so say you get past all that stuff. Now you have to think about, do you need furniture?
Right.
Movers.
There's just,
there's
things.
Turn on the electricity.
You took the words out of my mouth. Security deposit for your water, security deposit for your electricity. You know, unless you transfer.
Cable.
Yep, you got to have, you know, well, I would say those are wants, not needs. So, but
yeah, but if you're buying a house,
you should probably have internet or cable at least.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of things. So you got to think about that. Moving expenses, just renting a moving truck, packing materials, things like that. Even if you do it on, you know, a lower end, you know, and you're going to the Publix or wherever to grab your boxes in the morning, things like that to make it work. You know, there's still some expense there that people just, when you're really, really starting to break it down, people sometimes don't think about all those little tiny hidden costs, and they start to add up a lot.
No, absolutely. So that's what I mean. What I'm saying is, people think they're like, yeah, I'm going to go buy a house, but they don't realize it's not as simple as that to go buy a house.
Right. There's a lot of moving parts other than just picking your house and closing.
So here's another one that, you know, if you're buying a house, you really need to have extra funds, emergency funds. So after you close, you really need to have reserves, because you might move into the house and something might be defective. It could be an air conditioner, it could be a washer, a dryer, it could be a refrigerator. You know, something could, you know, happen to your job. So emergency funds, I think, are just as important as a down payment and getting ready to buy a house.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes you're going to have at least 1 month's payment in the bank, you know, for a mortgage anyway. Yeah, but that they require. So just something to think about. But having emergency funds, you know, there's also home warranties that you can get, but they do have deductibles, and they don't cover everything all the time.
No.
So you've got to read
Depends on
those.
the age of the stuff, yeah.
Right. So you have to read the fine print and read that information, and you know, just be careful with that. But all those little things add up, you know, over time. So having some extra money set aside is a smart play.
Right. And make sure, you know, you think you're ready for a particular area, but you never, if you're moving to an area and you haven't done your research in that area, you could be going there and be like, uh-oh, it's not for me, you know what I mean? So it's basically, it's too far from my work, it's traffic is too much, you know? So, yes, think about, there's so much to think about when it comes to buying a house that it can be mind-boggling and it can be very stressful, because buying a house is
It's stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, you know. What else you got, Bill?
So another thing to take into consideration would be, where are you now and where are you going to?
That's true. That's a good one.
So what I mean by that, it's like if you're renting a house and they're taking care of the lawn maintenance as an example, or the pool, what have you, because you're in a house, and then you purchase a home, and now you've got to mow your lawn or hire somebody. That's another fee per month. Somebody to take care of your pool pump breaks, leaks, things like that. All those little things start to add up. Maybe you're coming from an apartment and you're going into a townhouse or a condo where you have HOA fees, and maybe even the house has HOA fees too.
Right.
You know, just all that stuff starts to add up little by little over time. And you kind of don't really even notice it until you have to start writing the check every month.
True.
You know?
You probably you might never cut the grass before in your life. You don't own a lawnmower.
Yeah. When I was at the fire department, there were people that came in and they had never mowed the lawn, which was foreign to me, because that's what we did when I grew up.
Right.
But there wasn't lawn services readily available. I mean, that was, you and your dad went out and mowed the lawn. It was just the way it was. So you may have never done that, and now you're gonna have to do it and go buy the equipment, and it's not cheap.
So at the end of the day, there's a lot to it. A lot of things to consider before saying, yeah, I'm ready.
Right. It doesn't mean that it's not doable. No, not at all. But just go into it.
We actually did a video on, we did a video on how to get ready to buy a house. Remember how to save and you know, credit. We talked about people's credit.
Right.
Save your credit, save cash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make sure you have a secure job, all that stuff.
Right.
You know, I'll post that one below. But anyways, guys, that's today's video, unless you have something to add.
That's it. Just be prepared. Write a list. You know, take the time to plan it out. Sit down and do your research, and, you know, pen to paper, pros and cons, your budget, and then try to think of, you know, different scenarios that you have. Sit down with a lender, sit down with your real estate professional, and if you've got questions, always call or, you know, comment, and we'll answer. But that's pretty much all I've got on this video.
So that's it. So as always, greatly appreciate you guys watching. It really means a lot to us. Do me a favor, if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing, hit the bell notification so you're notified next time we upload a video. Give this video a thumbs up. Thank you, and have a great day, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
See you on the next one. Thanks.
Bye.